Hi, Myra with Boutique Paint. I'm working on a tray today, or a centerpiece, a tray piece. This is what it will look like before we paint it and embellish it. So I started with a pine board, and you can get these cut at your hardware store. I'm doing two different widths. The first one was a 1x6. This is a 1x8, and the boards come in about 6 foot or 8 foot long. And if you have them cut it, you can have them cut it in the length that you want the board, and then cut these little small pieces for the legs. These are 1 inch wide. Actually, I think they're about 1.25 inches wide. And we're going to just glue these down. But first I'm going to mark it out. So I came in 1.5 inches. And just both sides. This board I cut, well, it's a little over 20 inches. So we're going to make a smidge, a little bit more like that. So this one I'm just going to kind of center. So I'm going to come to the side and kind of eyeball it. I guess I could just actually mark it. So I can line up the center here. I'm going to take some glue. This is just wood glue. You could do Elmer's glue. That will work just as well. You want to put a pretty good amount on there. If there's a little bit of a bow in the board, you want to make sure that this will make contact. One. This one will center. Just kind of push down hard so it grips on. Go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this one aside to dry, and we'll go ahead and start painting the next one. All right, now before we paint, I'm just going to go over the edges real quick. A little bit of sandpaper, just smooth the edges a little bit, keep from splinters happening. You can do this either before you glue it together or now, before you paint it. I'm going to go ahead and flip it and just get these edges real quick. Flip it and paint it. I'm using Pure Home Paint today in Alabaster, which is their pure white. So the paint is dry, and I did paint the back side, but I didn't want to waste the time to show you that. So I'm going to use the Evergreen stamp. And if you ever want to stamp on something but you're not really sure positioning, if you use the page that the stamp came on, the newer ones have this imprint on it, you can kind of move it around and get a feel for where you may want to position the stamp and just kind of move it around. I think I'm going to use these on the corners. Leave the center somewhat blank, because that's where, you know, whatever decor, candles, whatnot, are probably going to go. So I'm using the Iron Orchid Designs black ink. I'm only going to ink up 1/2 of the stamp. Positioned. Go down, just press. You can kind of lift a little bit and peek, see how you're doing. That's not what I'm wanting. Well, it's not quite as dark as I would have liked it. See if I can get a little bit more in there. This is always kind of the tricky part. I grab a baby wipe here to clean up the edges. Is repositioning after you've already done a stamp. These edges, sometimes I trim these so that I don't have to worry about ink. This one here is starting to bubble up a little bit, so I think that I will trim that after this to get rid of that bubble. Because if it's got a little bit of a bubble and you get ink on it, then it will leave the ink there on the piece. So you gotta try to line it up the best you can. Otherwise it'll just kind of make a blurry mess. I think I got it. Let's see. I was pushing pretty hard, but I think there's, you know, a little bit of a low spot right there also in the wood. And that's where using these flexible sheets is nice, because you can actually get into those low spots. All right, better. It is a smidge blurry, so I got it a little bit off, but it's not bad. So now we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to stamp up the other half. Let's see. Yes. No. No, I think I'm going to change my mind. And I'm going to use the same half that I did for the last one. So it's not mirrored. Clean up my edges a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm looking over at the other side to see how I want to position this. If you stamp it and it's like, nope, that's not what I'm wanting, that's awful, whatever, or that's not the look I was going for, just let the ink dry and paint over it and start again. kind of cheat and take a peek. Oh yeah, that's much better. This one turned out nice on this side. There we go. So then, if you want to, you could add, you know, a few more pine cones or some berries. I'm not sure. I may just leave it alone, but I'm going to pull off one of these just to kind of see if that would help lend itself. Yeah. I think we will. We'll add a little bit more. I'm going to grab the big one too. This is the first time I've taken this one off, as I'm sure you can see. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to get off. That's okay. You're not going to hurt the stamp. And if it feels like it's stretched out a little bit, just give it a little time. It'll bounce back. So we're going to use this one first. This is the smaller one. Oh, I think I grabbed the wrong. I had two pads open and I think I grabbed the wrong one. Yeah, that's much better. I'm just going to kind of tuck it in there. This does come with a mass, this particular stamp, so that if you wanted to overlap, you could put your mass down and then stamp up into it. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that if I can figure out where I set my mask. Give me 1 second here. Okay, found the mask. Of course, it was right in front of my face, which is hard to tell with these because they're see-through. So that's not the right side. Let's try this side. There we go. So I know it's hard to see, but you can tell that I was putting the plastic there. I'm going to put a little bit more ink on this. And this way, you don't have to worry about overlapping onto the other stamp. Move that. And I got a little, not exactly the way I wanted it to. It covered up a little bit more than I was hoping. There we go. Well, like I said, you know, even if you do have a little bit of spots that kind of overlap, I got this and this, that's where that bubble is on the stamp. Just do a little touch-up paint or not even worry about it. I was thinking I might do a little bit of the crackle on this just to give it a little bit more of something. I'm just going to do it really light. See, it's just got a little bit of a light crackle in there, not too much. Do this other side. On the other tray, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I might use a transfer on it. I might use the other Christmas stamp. Not too sure yet, but I'm sure I'll put a picture in at the end of the video of what I did. Oh yeah, that one turned out really nice. Actually, I like the little bit of darker crackle that this did. Gives a little bit more interest. If you would like any information on these products, You can find it on our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. Thank you so much for joining me.